It was only emotional. Those 4 words. He said them like they were supposed to make it better, like they were supposed to soften the blow, like I was supposed to nod and say, "Oh, well then, that's different." But they didn't make it better. They made it worse, because what he was telling me without saying it outright was that she had something of his I didn't even know was missing. Not his body, not some quick mistake he could blame on loneliness or weakness or too much wine at a work dinner. No, she had his thoughts, his confessions, his late-night worries, and his mid-afternoon hopes. She had the parts of him I thought were mine, and somehow that hurt more than anything else could have. This isn't a story about jealousy. It's not about rage or revenge or any of the things you might expect. It's about the day I realized that betrayal doesn't need a bed. It just needs someone willing to give away what they promised to keep sacred. I'm 63 years old. I live in a town just outside of Asheville, North Carolina. The kind of place where people still wave when they pass you on the road, where the hardware store owner knows your name and asks about your garden. My husband David and I had been married for 38 years. We met when I was 24. He was 26. I was working at a library in Charlotte, and he came in one afternoon looking for a book on woodworking. I helped him find it. He asked if I wanted to get coffee. I said yes. It wasn't fireworks. It wasn't some grand, sweeping romance. It was steady. It was kind. It was real. We got married 2 years later in a small church with about 40 people there. We bought a house. We had 2 kids. We went through all the things people go through. Job changes, moves, sick parents, teenagers who hated us for a while and then grew up and liked us again. We argued sometimes, sure, about money, about whose turn it was to take out the trash, about whether we should repaint the kitchen or leave it alone. But we loved each other. I never doubted that. Not once in 38 years. David was a carpenter. He built cabinets mostly, custom work for people who wanted something specific. He'd come home with sawdust in his hair and tell me about the project he was working on, a kitchen island for a young couple, bookshelves for a retired professor. He loved his work, and I loved listening to him talk about it. We had routines, coffee together in the morning, a walk after dinner when the weather was nice, Saturday mornings at the farmer's market, Sunday evenings reading on the porch. I thought we were happy. I thought we were enough for each other. I thought I knew him, but I was wrong about that last part. It started so quietly, I didn't even notice at first. David started staying later at the shop, not every night, just once or twice a week, then 3 times, then 4. Big project, he'd say when he came home. Clients being particular. I didn't question it. Why would I? He'd been a carpenter for 40 years. Sometimes projects took longer. Sometimes clients changed their minds. That was just how it was. But then other things started to change too. Small things. He stopped telling me about his day. I'd ask, "How was work?" And he'd say, "Fine." And that was it. No stories about difficult cuts or annoying suppliers or the guy who came in wanting something impossible. Just fine. He started looking at his phone more, not constantly, not obsessively, but enough that I noticed. At dinner, during our walk, while we were watching television, he'd glance at it, smile a little, put it back down. "Who's that?" I asked once. "Just a client," he said. I believed him. He started going to bed earlier or later, never at the same time as me anymore. I'm tired, he'd say, or I'm not quite ready yet, you go ahead. So I did. I went to bed alone and told myself it was nothing, that we were just getting older, that routines change, that marriage after 38 years doesn't look like marriage after 5. I told myself all of that, and I believed it, because the alternative was unthinkable. Her name was Laura, I found out on a Tuesday. David had left his laptop open on the kitchen table. He'd gone out to the shop to finish something, and I was cleaning up after lunch. The screen was still on. I wasn't trying to snoop. I wasn't looking for anything, but I saw it, a message notification from someone named Laura. Thank you for last night. I needed that. I stared at it. My hands went cold. I clicked on it. I know I shouldn't have. I know it was wrong, but I couldn't stop myself. The messages went back months, and they weren't about work. They were about everything else, about her divorce, about her daughter who wouldn't speak to her, about how lonely she felt in a town where everyone knew her ex-husband's family. And David's responses, God, his responses, they were kind, thoughtful, gentle. He told her things I didn't know he was thinking, about how he worried he'd wasted his talent, about how sometimes he felt invisible, about how he wasn't sure what he was supposed to do with the rest of his life, now that the kids were grown and the work was just work. He told her things he hadn't told me, and she told him things too, about her fears, her regrets, her hopes. They talked every day, sometimes multiple times a day. They met for coffee, for lunch, for walks. They talked on the phone late at night when I was already asleep, and none of it was sexual. There were no flirtations, no innuendos, no suggestions of anything physical. It was just intimate. Deeply, achingly intimate, and I wasn't part of it. I didn't confront him right away. I spent 3 days reading through those messages, every single one. I know that makes me sound pathetic. Maybe I was, but I needed to understand. I needed to know what he'd given her that he hadn't given me. And what I found was this. He'd given her himself, the version of himself he used to give me, the one who shared his doubts and his dreams, the one who asked questions and listened to the answers, the one who made someone feel seen. I hadn't realized he'd stopped giving me that version, or maybe I had realized it, and I just told myself it was normal, that people grow quieter with age. That comfort means you don't need to talk as much. But that wasn't it. He just found someone else to talk to. I confronted him on a Friday evening. He came home from the shop around 6. I was sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea I hadn't touched. We need to talk, I said. He looked at me, and I saw it in his face. He knew. Okay, he said quietly. He sat down across from me. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just said, I know about Laura. He didn't deny it. He didn't try to lie or deflect or tell me I was imagining things. He just nodded. I'm sorry, he said. Are you sleeping with her? No. Have you kissed her? No. Have you touched her at all? No. I believed him. I don't know why, but I did. Then what is it? I asked. What is this? He looked down at his hands. It's just, we talk, he said. She's going through a hard time, and I don't know. It's easy to talk to her, and it's not easy to talk to me. He didn't answer. David, I don't know, he said finally. It's different. Different how? She doesn't expect anything from me. That was the first time I felt the crack. Not the anger. Not yet. Just the crack. The sense that something inside me was breaking and I couldn't stop it. What do I expect from you? I asked. I don't know. To be who I've always been, I guess. And who is that? The guy who has it all figured out. The guy who doesn't complain. The guy who just does what needs to be done. I stared at him. I never asked you to be that. You didn't have to. We went back and forth for a while. He told me he hadn't meant for it to happen, that it had started innocently, that Laura had come into the shop one day looking for someone to build her some shelves, and they'd started talking, and it had just continued. He said he didn't have feelings for her, not romantic ones. He said she was just a friend. And then he said the thing that broke me. It was only emotional. I stared at him. What? It was only emotional, he repeated. I didn't sleep with her. I didn't even touch her. It was just talking. Only emotional. Like that made it smaller. Like that made it less. Like the fact that he hadn't taken off his clothes meant he hadn't taken off his wedding ring. Do you hear yourself? I said. I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound. David, you just told me that you've been sharing your entire inner life with another woman for months, and then you said it was only emotional. Like that's supposed to make me feel better. I just meant, I know what you meant. You meant that because you didn't fuck her, it doesn't count. He flinched. I never used that word. But here's the thing, I continued. I don't care about your body, David. I care about your heart. And you gave that to her. I didn't. Yes, you did. You gave her the parts of you I thought were mine. The parts I thought we shared. Your fears, your hopes, your late night thoughts. You gave all of that to her, and you said it was only emotional. I stood up. Do you know what that means to me? I asked. It means you think the emotional part doesn't matter. It means you think intimacy is just sex. It means you think I should be grateful that you kept your pants on. That's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? He didn't answer. Because there was no good answer. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while David slept in the guest room, and I thought about all the nights he'd come to bed late, all the times he'd looked at his phone and smiled, all the dinners where he'd said fine and nothing else. He hadn't been pulling away because he was tired. He'd been pulling away because he was full of conversations with her, full of thoughts he'd already shared, full of a connection that didn't include me. And I'd let it happen, not because I didn't care, but because I didn't see it. I thought silence was comfort. I thought distance was normal. I thought we were fine, but we weren't fine. We were strangers who happened to live in the same house, and I hadn't even noticed. The next few weeks were strange. David ended things with Laura. He told me he did, and I believed him. He apologized over and over. He said he loved me, that he'd always loved me, that he'd made a mistake, and I believed that too. But it didn't change anything. Because the hurt wasn't about what he'd done. It was about what he'd shown me, that I wasn't enough. Not in the way I thought I was. I thought I was his partner, his confidant, the person he turned to when things got hard. But I wasn't, or at least I hadn't been. Not for a long time, and the worst part was I couldn't even be angry about it, because he was right. I had expected him to be the guy who had it all figured out, the guy who didn't complain, the guy who just kept going. I'd expected him to be strong, and I hadn't asked him how he was really doing. I'd asked, "How was your day?" and accepted fine as an answer. I'd stopped digging, stopped asking the deeper questions, stopped making space for him to be anything other than steady, and so he'd found someone who did. We went to counseling. It was David's idea. I didn't want to go. I thought it was pointless. What was a stranger going to tell us that we didn't already know? But I went anyway. Our counselor's name was Margaret. She was in her 70s, calm, kind. She didn't say much at first, just let us talk. David talked about feeling invisible, about how he loved me but didn't feel seen. I talked about feeling replaced, about how the intimacy I thought we had was just a lie. And Margaret listened. Then she said something I'll never forget. Emotional betrayal is harder to name, she said, because it doesn't leave evidence. There's no affair to point to, no lipstick on a collar, no hotel receipts. It's just absence, and absence is hard to prove. She looked at me, but that doesn't make it less real. I started crying then, because she was right. That was exactly what it was, an absence. David had been absent from our marriage for months, maybe years, and I'd only just realized it. We kept going to counseling. Some weeks were better than others. David tried. He really did. He started asking me about my day, really asking, and listening to the answer. He started telling me things again, small things at first, then bigger things. He told me he was scared of getting older, of becoming irrelevant, of being the guy people used to know. He told me he didn't know what he wanted anymore, and I listened, really listened, not just waiting for my turn to talk, but actually hearing him. And slowly, things started to shift, not back to how they were, but forward to something new. But the hurt didn't go away. I wanted it to. I tried to let it go. But every time I looked at him, I thought about her. Not in a jealous way, in a haunted way. I thought about the version of him she got to see. The one who opened up, who shared, who let himself be vulnerable. And I wondered why he couldn't be that way with me. I asked him once, why her? He thought about it for a long time. I think because she didn't know me, he said finally. She didn't have expectations. She didn't need me to be anything other than what I was in that moment. And I did. I thought you did. But I never said that. I know, but I felt it anyway. That was the thing I kept coming back to. He felt it, even though I never said it. Even though I didn't mean it. He felt like he couldn't be anything other than strong with me, and maybe that was on him. But maybe it was on me too. Maybe I'd gotten so used to him being steady that I forgot he needed to not be sometimes. Maybe I'd stopped asking the hard questions because I was afraid of the answers. Maybe I'd let our marriage become a routine instead of a relationship. And maybe he had too. I thought about leaving more than once. I thought about packing a bag and going to stay with my sister in Virginia, just for a while, just to clear my head. But I didn't. Not because I was scared, not because I didn't think I could make it on my own, but because I wasn't ready to give up, not on him, not on us, not on 38 years of history, even if it was broken. Even if it hurt. One night, About 3 months after I found out, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs and made tea. David came down a few minutes later. "Can't sleep either?" he asked. "No." He sat down across from me. We didn't say anything for a while. Then I asked him something I'd been wondering. "Do you miss her?" He looked at me. "Sometimes," he said. "It hurt, but I appreciated the honesty." "Do you miss talking to her?" "I miss having someone to talk to," he said, "but I'm trying to make that person you." "Is it working?" "I think so. Is it for you?" I thought about it. "I don't know yet," I said. "I'm still hurt." "I know. I don't know if I'll ever stop being hurt." "I know." He reached across the table and took my hand. "I'm sorry," he said. "I know I've said it 100 times, but I am. I'm so sorry." I looked at our hands. His were rough from years of woodworking. Mine were soft from years of typing. We'd held hands 1,000 times, but this felt different. This felt like a choice. "I'm sorry too," I said. "For what?" "For not asking, for not listening, for letting us become strangers." "We both did that." "I know." We sat there for a long time, just holding hands, and for the first time in months, I felt like maybe we'd be okay. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday. It's been a year now. David and I are still together, still married, still trying. Some days are good, some days are hard. Some days I look at him and feel the same love I felt 38 years ago. Some days I look at him and feel nothing but the ache of what he gave away. But we're trying. We talk more now. Real talk. Not just, "How was your day?" talk. We go to counseling every other week. We take walks together, long ones, the kind where we don't say much, but it feels okay. And slowly, we're rebuilding. Not the marriage we had, but a new one. One where we both show up, where we both ask the hard questions, where we both make space for the other person to be messy and uncertain and afraid. It's not perfect, but it's real. I've learned things this past year, hard things. I've learned that betrayal doesn't need a bed, that intimacy isn't just physical, that you can lose someone without them ever leaving. I've learned that only emotional is a lie, because emotional is everything. Emotional is where we live. It's where we connect. It's where we feel seen and known and loved. And when someone gives that to someone else, it doesn't matter if they never touched them. They still gave away what was sacred. I've learned that you can forgive someone and still be hurt, that healing isn't linear, that some wounds take years to close. And I've learned that marriage isn't about never failing. It's about what you do after you fail, whether you run or whether you stay and try to rebuild. David and I are rebuilding. It's slow, it's painful, it's exhausting, but it's also worth it, because after 38 years I still love him, not the same way I did before, but in a deeper way, a more honest way, a way that acknowledges that we're both broken and flawed and human, and maybe that's enough. I think about Laura sometimes. I don't hate her. I don't even blame her. She was lonely. She needed someone to talk to, and David was there. But I also don't want to know her. I don't want to hear her side of the story or understand her perspective, because it doesn't matter. What matters is what David and I build from here. And we're building, slowly, one conversation at a time, one honest moment at a time, one day at a time. If I could go back, I don't know what I'd change. Maybe I'd ask more questions. Maybe I'd push harder when he said fine. Maybe I'd tell him it was okay to not be okay. But maybe I wouldn't change anything, because maybe we needed to break in order to rebuild. Maybe we needed to lose each other in order to find each other again. I don't know. What I do know is this: emotional betrayal is real. It's not less than physical betrayal. It's not easier to forgive. It's not something you can brush off with. At least he didn't sleep with her, because he didn't need to. He gave her something more valuable than his body. He gave her his heart, and that, more than anything, is what broke mine. So here I am, 63 years old, still married, still trying, still learning what it means to be seen, still learning what it means to see, still learning that love isn't just about staying together. It's about showing up every single day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And David and I, we're showing up, not perfectly, but honestly. And maybe that's all we can ask for. I wonder sometimes if other people have been through this, if there are others out there who've heard the words, "It was only emotional," and felt like they'd been gutted. I wonder if they stayed or left, if they forgave or held on to the anger, if they rebuilt or started over. I wonder if they understand what it feels like to be replaced in ways you can't even name. To know that someone else got the parts of your partner you thought were yours alone. To feel like you weren't enough, even though you gave everything you had. I wonder if they know that healing from this kind of betrayal takes longer than anyone tells you. That some days you'll wake up and feel fine, and other days you'll wake up and feel like it just happened yesterday. I wonder if they know they're not alone, because they're not. I'm here too, still standing, still trying, still healing. And if you're reading this or listening to this or just stumbled across it somehow, know that I see you. I see your hurt. I see your confusion. I see your strength. And I want you to know that it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to be hurt by something that didn't involve a bed. It's okay to feel betrayed by words and thoughts and late-night phone calls, because emotional intimacy matters. It's the foundation of everything. And when it's broken, it takes time to repair. But it can be repaired if both people are willing, if both people show up, if both people choose to rebuild. David and I chose to rebuild, and I'm grateful for that. But I also know it's not the right choice for everyone. Some betrayals are too deep. Some wounds are too wide. And some people need to walk away in order to heal. That's okay too. There's no right answer. There's only what's right for you. So I'll leave you with this. Have you ever been told it was only emotional and felt more hurt because of it? Do you believe emotional betrayal can be harder to heal than physical betrayal? I don't have all the answers, but I know what I feel, and I know I'm not alone in feeling it. Maybe you're not either,